Let this be the time you find perfect peace, man. Yeah, at this point in my life where nothing shocks me, if God told me to wait, I'm in the lobby. Cause even if the world against me, I know that I got me. I know that I got me. That's mind, spirit, and body. Protect your heart, for everything flows from it. 10-4, Lord, I copy. See, God is my escape when that levee break. I can't wait to know the code to the heaven gates. I'm trying to give you whole foods, get you off of them debit cakes. No, you ain't gotta run in the devil's race. No, you ain't gotta run at the devil's pace. I'm standing firm, he don't wanna see me face to face. The way I'm living, protected and fully armored. While you're trying to stay afloat, I just learned to swim underwater. Look, appreciate you, but I know the ones who supposed to hear it. The new rap group, calling D and the Holy Spirit. Hope you feel the truth inside every moment I post a lyric. Coast to coast with emotion, here's no smoke and mirrors. I pray you hear wise words of a man, but he who don't follow just built his house on the sand. I'm standing in the light trying to get my spiritual tan. I'm just happy that my dreams align with God's plan. Let this be the time you find perfect peace. I pray that it's the time you find perfect peace. The day I go, you'll say, I kept the message. I praise God, help you seek him through self-reflection. Don't get distracted, it ain't worth it, don't waste a second. If God ain't in it, what you doing? Go change your method. The path is already laid out, uniquely chose for you. Your own flesh is set out against you, it want the most of you. If it don't benefit your potential, it can't get close to you. The mindset to do what's right for you is what you supposed to do. We don't think the same, I know it's levels though. You want a brand new car, but I want self-control. I want to keep my joy, I want my patience too. You want to be happy, but I want peace, you can't compare the two. I learned to say no if it don't work for me. I'm probably somewhere praying if you search for me. Become a better me, I wouldn't hurt to see. Let this be the time you find perfect peace. This may not be for you. This may be for the person that you can be. Let us pray.
Our Father, who art in heaven, I come to you as your humble servant, asking you to allow the Holy Spirit to guide my every word, so that I may approach your throne in the appropriate manner. I need to thank you, Lord, for all the rich blessings my family and I have received.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to ARP in the morning. I'm your brother Wise. I appreciate you guys pulling up this morning. I hope you guys had an excellent weekend, but goodness gracious, man. Wow. What a tragic way to end the weekend. I'm sure you guys, are aware as to what happened out there in Michigan. We're going to discuss it briefly, on the show today. But it's just unfortunate, man. My condolences to those folks, out there in Michigan and scattered around the world. We got to make sure that we continue to keep those people lifted up in prayer. I believe there were 4 people that perished, and it's just sad, man. It is sad, the world that we're living in right now. It really is, man. It's really sad. It's unfortunate. But, the word tells us, that these types of tragedies would happen, right? So I appreciate you guys pulling up. We got to get into it. Before I do so, I want to make sure I show some love to my folks in the chat. Please make sure you hit that like button for me if you haven't done so already. Shout out to Lori Ottison. Follow her instructions for me. She says, make sure you remember to hit that like button on the way in. Thank you very much, Lori. What's going on, Hadassah and Mary and Kevin Caldwell? Shout out to my guy, Hunter. Always comes through with the Bible verse. Thank you very much. Whoever does not take up their cross and follow me is not worthy of me. Whoever finds their life will lose it. And whoever loses their life for my sake will find it. Matthew chapter 10, verse 38 and 39. Thank you very much, Matthew. Hunter, my bad. Thank you very much. That's very, very appropriate. Very appropriate. Thank you, JJ. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. What's up, Marla? Cool Ramon. What's going on? What's up, Leslie Aaron? Yeah. Ravens are struggling right now, 1-3. I haven't seen the defense play that bad in a long time. Goodness gracious. Honestly, this might be, yeah, I'm lost for words. I'm lost for words, and I got to do some research and see what's going on with Lamar. It looks like, he was out of the game. And I know Cooper Rush came in. It's crazy. Crazy. What's up, Rocky? How you doing this morning? Appreciate you pulling up. Omega X, appreciate you pulling up this morning. What's up, Nelly? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. AI, appreciate you pulling up. Grace and peace to you. What's up, Queen Chloe? How you doing this morning? Appreciate you pulling up this morning as well. We got David Harrell in the building. Shout out to you. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Marcy Richards, appreciate you. Nicole, thank you very much for pulling up. What's up, LJ Taylor? How you doing this morning? Appreciate you pulling up this morning as always. Angela Montgomery, how you doing this morning, sister? Appreciate you pulling up. What up, Papa Dot? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Luby Fishing, appreciate you pulling up. What's up, Marla? BWR, appreciate you. What up, Ed? How you doing this morning? Appreciate you, brother. And Ed says, I predicted Wives would hit 500,000 by Christmas. It looks like that will happen in October. Praise the Lord. Hey, Ed, thank you very much. You've been rocking with your brother for a long time, and I appreciate it. And shout out to all the new folks that have subscribed to the channel. I appreciate you guys, man. We are definitely going in the right direction. We're going in the right direction with the channel for sure. And I'm thankful and grateful and humble and appreciative of you guys supporting me. And I really appreciate it, man. Shout out to Sugar Shane. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. What's up, Angel? Appreciate you. What's up, Chester? How you doing this morning, brother? Hope all is well up there in Massachusetts. Appreciate that, man. Thank you guys very much. Appreciate you all pulling up this morning. And what's up, Ronan? I guess folks are asking about the song. The song is called Perfect Peace. It's by Call MD. If you look it up, it's on YouTube. Go check him out, man. The brother's fire. He's out of Tennessee. So all my Tennessee folks, this is a Tennessee brethren. Yeah, song's fire. He's got some pretty dope music out there, He's got some pretty dope music. And he's not, killing anybody in his tracks. And, he's not talking about how much drugs he's using and how many women he's, dealing with. No, he's trying to uplift the word of God. And, I really appreciate the brother, and his music. Yeah. What's up, Ryan Stegall? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. What up, Monisa? How you doing this morning, sister? Appreciate you pulling up. Callie in the building. Shout out to you. What up, C. Bergie? What's up, Amber Young? Good morning to you. Appreciate you pulling up. Grace and peace to you guys. Thank you guys very much. Mama Sunflower Cottage, Little House in the Dale. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Little House in the Dale. Is that West Virginia? Is that a West Virginia thing, in the Dale? What's up, Coley Ray? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. And I appreciate you guys pulling up and supporting the channel this morning. We're gonna get things kicked off. Please make sure you hit that like button. Shout out to all my blues that have pulled up this morning. Thank you guys very much for pulling up and supporting the channel. What's going on, Daniel? Appreciate you pulling up this morning, brother. Appreciate you. Hit the like button for me. Super chat, super thanks are greatly appreciated. Shout out to Eric Plummer supporting the channel via Cash App. God bless you, brother. Appreciate you supporting the channel as well. And everybody that supports the channel via Buy Me a Coffee. Thank you guys very much for supporting what we're doing over here. I really appreciate you guys supporting the channel, and thank you guys very much. Without further ado, we're going to get the show started. Again, hit the like button. Super chat, super thanks are greatly appreciated. And shout out to all my ARP family members. Thank you guys very much for supporting this channel. I hope you guys enjoyed the weekend. It is Monday. I know a lot of people dread Mondays. They got to get up, go to work, but we should be thankful. We should be thankful that we get that. One, the Lord woke us up this morning, but two, for those of us that have jobs and we get an opportunity to go and work and provide, for our families, we should be thankful. I know a lot of people dread Monday, but you shouldn't dread Monday. You shouldn't dread it. Be thankful. for everything that you have, and in everything, give God praise in everything. Do not take it for granted at all. I do not take you guys for granted at all, so thank you guys very much, man. I appreciate you all. Let's get going.
Chief Rennie, Grand Blanc Township Police Department, here to give you an update on the active shooter situation that we had, and it settled just recently on today's date at 10:25 a.m. So I want to give the community just a brief update. There has been one more fatality due to gunshots. That person had died at a local hospital. As far as reunification, if you're wondering how to reunify with your family member, I want to provide you with a phone number. That phone number is 248-705-7352. That number will lead you to the Red Cross, who is on scene over there at Trillium with several people who were at the church when this incident took place, and they will be able to tell you where your family member is at. For the community, we know that you're hurting right now, and we also want to provide services to our entire Grand Blanc community starting tomorrow from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and all throughout this week at the Grand Blanc Township Police Department. You could come in if there's anything that you're thinking, anything that you want to talk about. We'll have counselors on staff. So 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. starting tomorrow at the Grand Blanc Township Police Department all week long. So I plan on giving the community an update through a press conference starting at 5 p.m. today, also at the Grand Blanc Township Police Department.
When is it going to end? Ladies and gentlemen, when is it going to end? A horrifying Sunday morning in a quiet Michigan suburb. My wife sent the information over to me yesterday morning. I was like, had you seen this? I hadn't at that time when she sent it. And, my heart goes out to those people, man. A man opened fire inside of a Mormon church out in the Grand Blanc Township, about 50 miles north of Detroit. For those of you guys that are up that way or maybe not familiar with the area, it is, about 50 miles or so outside of Detroit. And police say that the gunman rammed into the church, setting it on fire. And he then proceeded to fire just random, indiscriminately on the congregation of about 150 people, sending families and children rushing for cover. At least 4 people are now dead and several others are in critical condition. The shooter is down, but the chaos is far from over. Officials are now racing to uncover the motive behind this shocking act of violence inside a sacred house of worship. This is, this is wild because our nation is reeling, from, just political violence that is happening, at churches and at, places that are supposed to be, peaceful places to gather. And we have a unprecedented spike of leftist political violence. And I know we've been talking about this a lot. I know we have, but we gotta, they're calling for it at this point. We have to continue to discuss it, man. We got to continue to put it out there. These folks are actually out there saying that, hey, we got to fight fire with fire. That's what these folks are out here saying, man. And it's outrageous, the rhetoric that you're hearing, out there.
Times such as this, it demands one thing for sure. We must fight fire with fire. So CBC, let's get to work. Thank you.
So let me ask you guys again, who's exactly turning up the temperature right now in politics? Who's turning up the temperature right now? because I seem to recall no buildings were set on fire, no businesses were looted, after Charlie was brutally assassinated. And this speech that Kamala gave, I mean, it came just hours before the brutal attack on the Mormon church. Now, I'm not saying that she is to blame. I'm not saying that. No, but we need to have an honest conversation about who is actually turning up the temperature, the rhetoric in the country. This wasn't just a random act of violence. I mean, this was deliberate, it was calculated and targeted. I mean, the suspect's motives remain unclear at this point, but the fact that he chose a church, a place of worship, it speaks volumes. And President Trump himself, he weighed in, calling it yet another targeted attack on Christians in the United States of America. He praised the FBI's response, noting that 100 agents were sent to the area and urged prayers for the victims and their families, declaring this epidemic of violence in our country must end immediately. And I'm 100% in lockstep with him, with that thought process. This is outrageous, man. But let's step back for a moment. This isn't an isolated incident. It's part of a broader pattern of attacks on houses of worship, particularly those associated with Christianity. Just over a month ago, a shooter fired through the windows of a church in Minneapolis, killing 2 children and wounding 14 others during mass. And it doesn't stop there. In September, a synagogue in Florida was set ablaze just before Rosh Hashanah. These aren't coincidences. They're part of a disturbing trend where places meant for peace and reflection are becoming battlegrounds. So I got to ask you guys, why is this continuing to happen? In my opinion, I think there's a combination of factors here. First, there's the rise in mass shootings across the board, right? There is a rise in mass shootings across the board that, for whatever reason, no one seems to want to talk about like that. But there's something more sinister at play here as well. Something that goes beyond just gun violence. It's an attack on faith in general, on the very idea that people should be able to worship without fear. Christians in particular have been targeted, not just here in the United States, but globally. Whether it's churches in Nigeria being bombed or pastors in the Middle East being kidnapped, the message is clear. Christianity is under siege. It is. And we're going to get to the situation in Nigeria in a moment. We're definitely discussing that today. Mainstream media doesn't want to have these conversations. For the life of me, I don't understand why it's not happening, but no one's speaking on it. But first, let's focus on the problems, right here at home. We also can't forget the cultural context. We've seen a shift in our society where Christianity is increasingly marginalized, vilified even. Politicians like Hillary Clinton blame white Christian men for the violence in our country, ignoring the very real threats faced by believers. I know you guys remember this. And if not, let's jog your memory real fast because we discussed this last week.
Proud of the fact that we have always been a work in progress. We haven't gotten to the more perfect union, and we fought a civil war over part of it. Mm-hmm. And people have been protesting, for hundreds of years that, things were not as they should be, given our ideals and how we should be moving toward them. So I think that's what makes us so special as a country. And the idea that you could turn the clock back and try to recreate a world that never was, dominated by, let's say it, white men of a certain persuasion, a certain religion, a certain point of view, a certain ideology, is just doing such damage to what we should be aiming for. And we were on the path toward that. Imperfectly, lots of, bumps along the way, but I agree with you, we were on the right trajectory.
Now, I'm sure you guys remember Kamala saying that Christians aren't welcome at her rallies. Do you guys recall that?
Oh, you guys are at the wrong rally. No, I think you meant to go to the smaller one down the street. Come on.
She thought she said something, but she really just showed her hand. So you have Democrat politicians, and I'm not talking low-level ones either. These are people that would be considered, or at least once upon a time considered, the face of the party. We have two former presidential candidates from the Democrat side blaming white Christian men for the recent violence, telling Christians that they are not welcome at their rallies. And then the media downplays these attacks, or worse, frames them as isolated incidents rather than part of a larger pattern. But the data doesn't lie. From the Tree of Life synagogue shooting in Pittsburgh in 2018 to the Sutherland Spring Church massacre in 2017 out in Texas, the list goes on. And it's overwhelmingly targeting places of worship. Typically, or particularly, places where Christians worship. And then when trans individuals murder praying Christians, like what happened out in Minneapolis not too long ago, you have Democrats responding by attacking prayer and defending the trans community. I am a firm believer that when people show you who they are, you should believe them. We got to stop giving these people the benefit of the doubt. We have to.
It's really important for people to understand why people on the right got so upset by the Democrats' response. What happened was a person who seems to be a trans person murdered praying Catholics. And the Democrats' response was to rush to attack prayer and then defend the trans community. So there was a reversal of the victim and the perpetrator, which, by the way, was exactly what the shooter had written on his guns. He wrote, "Where is your God?" And that was what a lot of people on the right heard when Democrat after Democrat after Democrat came out and said, prayers are not enough. Those children were literally praying. They associated the victims of this horrific act with their political enemies and ran to the defense of who they thought the killer was and the community they believed he came from, so much so that they wouldn't even identify him as trans because they didn't want to besmirch what they view as a protected category. And this is unbelievably hurtful and offensive and pathological, Chris, especially in a moment when a community is mourning.
Yeah. I'll say it again. If you want to understand how leftists feel about you, if you want to know, what they would do to you if given the opportunity, you need to look no further than is it Mouse China? And the thing is, you don't see Christians going out there shooting up churches and schools. You don't see that. There was no assassination attempt on President Obama or Biden. You didn't see that. But what do we see? We see violence targeted toward the right, toward the church, toward Christians, and toward anyone who doesn't abide by the accepted narrative of what is now considered the mainstream. Dare I say that being a Christian is now being on the fringe of American society. Dare I say that right now? There's a lot of people out there that are what we would call chinos or Christians in name only. I don't think you want to just be out there. I don't think you want to just be out there saying that you are a part of something that you don't necessarily believe. The rhetoric, I mean, it has been redlined for years. Anyone who disagree, who disagrees with any piece of the agenda of the left or the Democrat Party at this point is considered a Nazi, a fascist, or an existential threat to democracy. Like, for example, when Hegseth called over 800 generals and admirals. When that happened, when he called in those generals, what the media do? Did they wait to see why? No. Did they wait to gather the facts? No. This was their, immediate reaction. These people, there's something else, man.
Of normal, ordinary protocol to summon, 800 of the top military leaders across the globe into one space on such short notice. And it really exposes, it keeps us vulnerable in our command structure across the globe, too. There's plenty of opportunities in our military for secure communications where our military leaders can stay in their post and command the troops that they are trusted to command. So this is a very, very unusual move, and it's never happened in the history of our military. When you look at it, it's really resemblant of actually, Hitler when he did this in the German military commanding loyalty oaths. And I think that's one of the things we're all very concerned about.
We're going to keep going, but I want to read this super chat real fast. Thank you very much. Lori Rapier, thank you for the $10 super chat. Says, God is good all the time. Yes, he is. He definitely is. And thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. The Secretary of Defense calls a meeting, and the first thing on their mind is that, oh, this is Trump demanding loyalty oaths like Hitler. I mean, these people are outrageous. The Secretary of Defense decides to call a meeting to speak with the people in charge. Come on now. I mean, it makes complete sense. No different than if the CEO, or you got a new department head at your job, do you think he's not going to call in, all the managers that report to him and say, hey, let's have a conversation. This is who I am, introduce himself to him, and then say, hey, this is my plan. I mean, it makes complete sense. The mental gymnastics, with these people is on 1,000. But then there are a few, and I mean a very few, number of Democrats like Senator John Fetterman, who started saying the quiet part out loud, calling out people in his own party who fleeing dehumanizing labels at opponents and who look the other way when left-wing groups menace officials, cops or public buildings. Let's take a listen to John Fetterman, who is probably the only sane Democrat that they have out there right now.
All the way. But I mean, on the left, you've got such extremes. Would you consider switching parties?
No, I'm not going to switch, but I'm just going to be an independent voice in the Democratic Party. I'm not going to be afraid if people, and if there are groups attacking a Democrat, the last one in Pennsylvania, then to me, that's part of the problem.
I got a question for you guys in the chat. Is it possible to be an independent thinker in the Democratic Party? Is that even possible today?
Problem, in our party. And if you want a Democrat that's going to call people Nazis or fascists or all these kinds of things, well, I'm not going to be that guy. Independent thinking and views wherever that I happen to believe the truth, regardless if it's the Republican or the Democratic voice, what I think is the truth in this. Now, in this truth right now, it's firmly on Israel through this. And it's always wrong to shut our government down. And that's where my voice is. And if that puts me as an outlier, and that's where I am.
What do you think happens to Netanyahu if he doesn't submit to Trump and his plan?
When even Fetterman says the rhetoric has just gone too far, that should tell you something. That should tell you something. Words have weight. And when leaders normalize violent language, it trickles down into action. The Word of God says, there's life and death in the power of the tongue. That's what the word says. And it's true. You can speak life or you can speak death. What we see from the Democrat Party is them speaking death. That's what we see. That's what we hear. That's what we hear. That acknowledgement, though, I mean, it matters because hard data shows there's an uptick in left-wing incidents in recent years, particularly aimed at the government and law enforcement. Of dozens of incidents since 2016, a significant share has been driven by anti-government or partisan motivations. You don't have to like who compiled the information or the data. You don't. You don't have to like it to see the actual trend line. I mean, we've watched attacks on ICE sites, ICE agents, federal courthouses, and the unhinged pile-ons that follow whenever the target is culturally acceptable to the far left progressive Twitter crowd. Then, when something explodes into the headlines, like yesterday's horror in Michigan, major outlets reflexively warn against speculation and insist there's no evidence of motive yet, which is fair enough on the caution. I understand that, and I can appreciate that to an extent. But that restraint never seems to cut both ways. And while they slow walk the facts, people consume rumors, fill in the blanks, and the cycle of rage keeps spinning. So here's the bottom line. Michigan is a tragedy that demands facts, not spin. Let's make sure that we keep the families lifted up in prayer. Let's pray for the families and wait for the full picture, and then hold the perpetrator's ideology to the standard you would if the politics were reversed. Let's make sure we keep those people up there in Michigan lifted up in prayer. For all of my folks here, that find yourselves at houses of worship, on a Sunday to Sunday or a Saturday to Saturday basis, for those that worship on Saturdays, for those that, worship during the week, by attending in-person Bible studies and things of that nature during the week, I am, from a spiritual standpoint, going to tell you, you must make sure that you put on the full armor of God. One. But two, if you have not, you should seriously think about making sure that you are armed when you go to these places. It is sad to say that we live in a country to where if you want to go worship, the church house has to consider security, armed security at that. And to be honest with you, the parishioners, the congregate members, have to consider it as well. It's sad that we live, in a society like that, but we gotta make sure that we are being realistic. This is the reality. This is the reality. Seriously. Quincy James, you're absolutely right. And appreciate you pulling up this morning, brother. You're absolutely right. This is where we are today. This is where we are today. It's unfortunate. And I know some folks, are traditionalists and say, nah, we don't need that. And I am going to vehemently disagree with you. How many more examples do you need? How many more examples do you need? Now, I want to shift our focus to overseas. I want to shift our focus overseas because the attacks on Christians aren't just happening here in the United States. And dare I say, what's happening here in the United States is mild in comparison to what's going on in other nations around the world. Dare I say, it's mild. I mean, there are things happening globally that some of us can't fathom. Seriously. And one of the most alarming places is Nigeria.
Genocide against Christians in Nigeria has escalated with yet another gruesome killing spree, this time in the Christian-majority southern Kaduna area. Truth Nigeria's Mike Ode James joins us now. Mike, what can you tell us?
Thanks, Raj, for having me. This killings happened 3 nights ago in a village called Waki Village. And it is located in the southern part of Kaduna State, which is also part of the Middle Belt. And on Sunday night, about 10 o'clock, Fulani militants stormed the village of Waki and started shooting sporadically into the village. And they killed about 7 persons there were killed. And when the next village of Gidana Daji heard the gunshot, they decided to mobilize their local security and see if they could help out the people of Waki. As the youth from Gidana Daji were going to Waki village to see if they could help out, they were ambushed by the same Fulani Fulani terrorists, and 2 of them were killed, bringing the number to about 9. So right now we have about 9 people killed, and about 5 were critically injured. I learned 1 also died, but I cannot confirm that. And the rest were taken to the hospital. A car was burnt and some houses were burnt. Now you will ask again, who are the perpetrators? Of course, they are Fulani militants. That is what we were told, because I was at Kachia yesterday, and what my people sources told me, they said they were shouting, Allahu Akbar, we will exterminate you, this infidel. That means Allah is great. We are going to wipe you off the face of the earth. And for now, that is how it is. The village of Wake is in mourning. The people of Gidanadaje too, they are mourning because they lost 2 young warriors who went to rescue or help out their neighbors. So right now we are having a terrible situation.
When we talk about wanting a better world, a freer world, we have to be honest about, where our attention goes and what we choose to ignore. Right now, so many activists and media outlets put all their focus on Gaza, and the Free Palestine movement. But here's the reality. Over 7,000 Christians slaughtered in just the last 220 something days in Nigeria. 100 churches destroyed every month, and about 7,800 abductions in early 2025 alone. The Benue State alone accounts for over 1,100 fatalities, including massacres like the Yellowwater attack in June that killed 280 Christians. That happened this year. According to Open Doors, an organization that tracks Christian persecution, Nigeria ranks sixth in the world for the most extreme persecutions of Christians. In 2023 alone, 82% of the nearly 5,000 Christians killed for faith-related reasons globally occurred in Nigeria. The broader toll since 2009 includes over 125,000 Christian deaths and the displacement of 15 million people. And yet, there are no marches in the streets. There's no celebrities crying about it on television. No students shutting down college campuses. I mean, it is complete silent crickets. And that silence, in my view, is hypocrisy. In northern Nigeria, Christians are being killed on a daily basis by Islamic militants who openly say they want to erase Christianity from the region. Openly. They're not even hiding it. Crickets. Nothing from mainstream media. I mean, this is horrifying, man. And yet almost zero international coverage. I mean, this isn't just about Nigeria. The goal of these extremists is bigger. Africa, Europe, even America. I mean, it's an ideology aimed at erasing an entire faith community, or erasing entire faith communities. And if the younger generation truly wants a freer, safer world, they need to speak up against all persecution, not just the ones that fit a political script. But here's the problem. The Nigerian story doesn't move mainstream media. It doesn't move the mainstream liberal media. The same people who flood the streets, over Gaza go silent when Christians are massacred. Why? Because it doesn't fit their narrative. If Israel, isn't involved, it's treated as, hey, it's irrelevant. It's not worth discussing. Even Bill Maher, and I gotta say, even Bill Maher, who we know is no conservative, he called out the hypocrisy. Since 2009, over 100,000 Christians have been killed in Nigeria. Since 2009, 100,000 Christians have been killed in Nigeria. More than 18,000 churches burned down. Whole communities wiped out. And yet, most people have no idea because the media ignores it. And as Mar puts it, if you don't know about Nigeria, your media sources suck. And he's right. He's right. What's happening there is much closer to a true genocide than Gaza. This isn't even a war. They're not in an actual war right now. This is just a deliberate extermination of Christians. But because it's Christians in Africa, the left doesn't care. They don't care.
This issue has not gotten on people's radar.
Right, no one's talking about it.
It's pretty amazing. If you don't know what's going on in Nigeria, your media sources suck. You are in a bubble. And again, I'm not a Christian, but they are systematically killing the Christians in Nigeria. They've killed over 100,000 since 2009. They've burned 18,000 churches. This is so much more. These are their Islamists, Boko Haram. This is so much more of a genocide attempt than what is going on in Gaza. They are literally attempting to wipe out the Christian population of an entire country. Where are the kids protesting this?
Thank you. Because no one will talk about it, so thank you.
Absolutely.
It's Africa. That's why no one's talking about it, and they should be. You can't read about it in mainstream media. It's sad, so thank you for bringing it up.
Well, because the Jews aren't involved. That's why. It's the Christians and the Muslims. Who cares? It's just...
Good on Bill Maher, man. Not only for speaking on it, but speaking on it on his show, on his actual platform, on HBO. Good on him for doing so. Now, we understand that Bill Maher is no Christian and he's hardly pro-Christian, but I do appreciate the fact that he's willing to point this out. Where's the outrage? I mean, if you're truly against evil, you should oppose evil everywhere. But we already know the answer. For many on the left, I mean, it's all performative anyway, right? I mean, look at the contrast. When Israel's involved, the outrage is deafening. Chants of genocide, claims of land grabs, calls to hate Israel and Jews while glorifying Palestinians. But when Christians in Nigeria are burned alive, villages destroyed, children kidnapped or slaughtered or worse, silence, crickets, no hashtags, no marches, no sit-ins, no protest, no outrage, nothing. This exposes the agenda. For leftists, it's not about stopping genocide. It's about pushing a Marxist narrative where Palestinians are oppressed and Israel is the imperialist state. That fits their politics. Christians persecuted by Islamic extremists doesn't fit. It's not a story to them. So they look the other way. Meanwhile, the reality in Nigeria is horrifying. Entire communities were wiped out, families butchered in their sleep, over 200 people massacred on Father's Day alone. Survivors testify that, while their government does almost nothing. This is a systemic campaign to eradicate Christianity. Even leaders like Representative Chris Smith, they have raised the alarm. You're seeing it. But until the world admits this genocide and acts, the slaughter will continue. Attacks on Christians in Nigeria are skyrocketing, yet the response has been weak. Extremists tied to Boko Haram and ISIS cross Nigeria's porous borders with ease, leaving civilians defenseless. And where's the outrage? The UN never misses a chance to condemn Israel, but ignores what's going on in Nigeria. No student protests, no celebrity hashtags, no global boycotts, nothing. The Biden administration was asleep at the wheel, and mere condemnations don't stop bullets or machetes. The U.S. has tools, sanctions, diplomatic pressure, even designating Nigeria as a country of particular concern. These aren't extreme measures. They would be considered life-saving steps. But this isn't just about governments. It's also, about the church. The church has to wake up. They got to wake up, man. And when I say the church, I'm not talking about the buildings. I'm talking about the people. Everybody, when they hear the church, they think about the buildings. No, I'm talking about the people. The people. Christians cannot afford to sit in comfortable pews while brothers and sisters are being slaughtered. I mean, we got to continue to pray, yes, but we also must speak out. We must raise awareness and demand action. Silence is complicity. And here's the bottom line. If you claim to care about human rights, you don't get to pick and choose. You can't scream about Gaza while ignoring what's going on in Nigeria. Persecution is persecution, whether it's Jews, Muslims, or Christians. 500,000 Christians killed in a year, and the world shrugs like it's not a big deal, or worse, like it's not happening. I mean, it's unacceptable. Unacceptable. We need just as much outrage, just as many protests, and we need real action. If the free world stands by while Christians are erased from Nigeria, then what do our values even mean? Seriously. A couple super chats I want to read. Thank you, Hunter, for the $10 super chat. Says, the biggest issue in Nigeria is the open border they have. It's always the Islamists from other countries walk right on in without resistance and commit these heinous acts. That's why we need our border. You're right. You're absolutely right. Thank you, Melissa, for the $10 super chat. Says, our walk with God needs to be stronger than ever. Satan is coming to kill, steal, and destroy. At the same time, we also need to pray for those who have gone astray. I would agree, Melissa. Thank you very much. And shout out to 2020 Vision with the $5 super chat. Says, the same people who don't care will claim Islamophobia if you say we don't want to allow them here unchecked. Yeah, you're absolutely right there, man. You're absolutely right there. Wow. Thank you guys very much for the super chats. I appreciate you guys supporting the channel and helping to keep the conversation moving along. Let's make sure we keep our people, out there in Nigeria, but all around the world, to be honest with you, man. What's going on over here in our country is sad, but it is mild. And I know some of you guys will say, well, say that to, the 4 people that lost their lives, out there in Michigan. And what happened out there is abhorrent. It is. It is. And when you see and hear about what's going on, out in Nigeria and other places around the world, I mean, it is horrible. And there's no conversation around it. None. Hit the like button for me if you haven't done so already. If you haven't done so already, please hit that like button for me. And And last but not least, but in some other news, I want to discuss President Trump has just signed a executive order aimed squarely at countering what his administration is now calling domestic terrorism. The focus is on preventing violent attacks from certain extremist groups, and much of the blame is being directed at the so-called radical left. Hit the like button for me if you haven't done so already, and we will keep the show going.
They're anarchists and agitators, professional anarchists and agitators, and they get hired by wealthy people, some of whom I know, I guess, probably know them. And you wouldn't know it. You're at dinner with them, everything's nice, and then you find out that they funded millions of dollars to these lunatics. Steve, could you say a couple of words?
Yes, Mr. President. This is a very historic and significant day. This is the first time in American history that there is an all-of-government effort to dismantle left-wing terrorism, to dismantle Antifa, to dismantle the organizations that have been carrying out these acts of political violence and terrorism. What we have seen, if you look at whether it be going back to the riots that started with Black Lives Matter and all the way through to the Antifa riots, the attacks on ICE officers, the doxing campaigns, and now the political assassinations, these are not lone, isolated events. This is part of an organized campaign of radical left terrorism. It is structured, it is sophisticated, it is well-funded, it is well-planned. There is really no parallel like this to anything else in the country right now. There is an entire system of feeder organizations that provide money, resources, weapons, and when they're attacking ICE officers, they're attacking federal buildings, or they're isolating public officials for harassment, doxing, intimidation, and ultimately attempted assassination. It is all carefully planned, executed, and thought through. It is terrorism on our soil. Because of this executive order, Cash and Pam are going to have the tools they need, working with Scott, to take these organizations apart piece by piece. And the central hub of that effort is going to be the Joint Terrorism Task Force, or JTTF, which sits inside the Federal Bureau of Investigation. But for those at home who are worried about terrorism in this country, they need to understand, because of President Trump's strength, because of his vision, because of his leadership, we are now going to use the entire force of the federal government to uproot these organizations root and branch. And again, that's only possible because of President Trump and his leadership.
Thank you, Steve. Cash, please.
All righty. All right, so this announcement comes at a time when protests are still going on outside an ICE facility in Portland, Oregon. Protests that have been dragging on for months now. If you guys recall, those demonstrations really peaked in June, and they've only continued to simmer since then. On the ground in Portland, you can actually see the impact. The ICE facility is boarded up, battle scarred from constant clashes between federal agents and protesters, rocks, fireworks, and even grenades. And yes, I did say grenades have been hurled at federal officers. There have been attempts to light fires while agents were still inside the building. Yeah, it is crazy out there in Oregon. It is wild what's going on out there.
I ain't done nothing. What did I do? What are you doing?
Fuck you guys. Go back inside!
Do y'all believe that this is the United States of America? Y'all believe this? I mean, this looked like something that you would see in some third world country right now. I mean, does this look like your average protest? Seriously, does this look like your average protest? I mean, it doesn't look like your average protest to me. I mean, this looks like outright political violence. And now one of the biggest developments here is that Antifa has officially been designated as a domestic terrorist organization. President Trump himself has referred to the group as professional agitators. And just recently, the Department of Homeland Security confirmed what many of us have been saying for years. According to DHS, members of Rose City Antifa have illegally doxed ICE officers, publishing their home addresses online and plastering them on flyers all around Portland. They've issued death threats to DHS personnel. They've turned protests into riots. They've laid siege to federal facilities. And now the federal government is finally acknowledging the obvious, and that these people are not peaceful demonstrators. These are domestic terrorists. But what's truly disturbing is that the reaction of local leadership. In Portland, you've got elected officials standing up at press conferences claiming that there's no insurrection, no threat to national security, and absolutely no need for federal troops to step in. That's what the leadership out there in Portland is saying. Y'all see this. Y'all see this. I mean, these people are outrageous. One second.
Troops is zero in Portland and any other American city. And let me repeat that. This is an American city. We do not need any intervention. This is not a military target. The number of...
Okay, so this dude is saying, hey, we don't need any government intervention. We don't need troops. I know the volume on it was low. But that's what this guy was out there saying. He's saying that now we don't need it. We don't need it. Look at this. Look at this. The way these people are acting up, man. But yeah, the National Guard's not needed. I mean, this is an American city that's been overran, essentially. And you have politicians out there that, hey, nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Come on, StreamYard. I mean, it is outrageous. Seriously. And you wonder why no one believes these people when they talk. And you wonder why no one believes them. This dude had the nerve to come out of his mouth and say the troops aren't necessary. I mean, this is a Portland mayor talking on and speaking on behalf or for, standing up for Antifa and its prolonged insurgency against Portland federal buildings and their staff. For those outside the People's Republic of the West Coast, you need to understand that over the last 4 decades, the Democrats have run everything over there. They insist that they have that they can handle things that themselves. But let me ask you, if they could handle it, why has Portland looked like a war zone for over 70 nights straight? Why are residents suing the city, trying to force the police to do their jobs? Why did one officer admit over police radio that they weren't allowed to intervene simply because the attacks were happening against ICE? That's not leadership. That's abdication. That's a true abdication of responsibility. And the thing is, the people of Portland, not the politicians, but the people of Portland overwhelmingly support Trump's decision to send the National Guard to Portland. Listen to this, brother.
I am so happy that Trump is sending the National Guard in here. I live in this building. We both live in this building. We've been asking for help for months, and we're finally going to get it.
When do you think they're coming?
When? Not soon enough, man. Not soon enough.
What do you want to see happen?
I want them to come in and mess them up and just annihilate these people. Whatever force they need. Whatever force they need. Gals like her and the other people that live in the building. Watch out. They're the ones. They're the ones that I'm concerned about. So they're afraid to come out of the building. So I've been coming out every night.
Could you imagine living in a place where this is what you hear on a day-to-day basis for the last 2.5 months? Could you imagine that?
Every day to help them, to make sure that they're okay. She won't even leave the building right now.
Are you afraid of the protesters?
Very. It's an extreme mob mentality to me, which means nothing is as it should be.
So are you excited that Trump's deploying the troops here?
Very excited. I cannot wait.
I can't wait for them to leave.
Forever and ever. Amen.
And if they don't leave, I'm going to bring in the gypsy jokers.
This is crazy. This is crazy. I couldn't even imagine living in a place like this right now. There are Americans out there that want law and order because look at the results, man. Especially in Democrat strongholds. The results have been devastating. Devastating. For months, we've seen scenes, of chaos in Portland. Tear gas filled the streets, flashbangs ringing out, fireworks exploding against federal buildings, and police officers getting pelted with rocks. We even saw a rapper's tour bus, Ice Cube's tour bus, go up into flames after his show in Portland because Antifa allegedly mistook the rapper's bus for an ICE bus. Did you guys hear about that? Let me know in the chat, did y'all hear that Ice Cube's bus was destroyed? I mean, it's wild, man. Look at this. All because they thought it was an ICE bus. And they firebombed it. They said investigators are still reviewing the footage, but does anyone seriously doubt what happened here? Does anybody doubt what happened here? Antifa and its allies are so deranged in their hatred of ICE that they'll attack anything with those 3 letters on it. That's how twisted these folks have become. And now here's the reality. Portland has become ground zero for left-wing domestic terrorism, and local Democrats have either turned a blind eye or they've affirmed it. Sanctuary city policies have gone from being a political talking point to a shield for violent extremists. Local police are effectively barred from working with ICE agents, and they're not even allowed to defend federal agents from attack. And so President Trump has said enough is enough. He's sending the federal troops to restore order, to protect ICE facilities, and to reestablish something that Portland's leadership clearly refuses to enforce, which is the rule of law. And naturally, Democrats are outraged. Naturally. They're crying about federal overreach, claiming that the president is targeting Democrat-led cities on purpose. He's been obsessed with Portland. That's what they say. But Portland looks like a third world war zone. That's what it looks like. And he wouldn't have to go there or need to send troops there if it didn't look as crazy as it looks right now.
Now, he's been obsessed with Portland since 2020, right? Like when there were protests and at night there were some folks that, busted out some windows, some fires. That did happen. But what's happening now, there are protests against ICE, but they're smaller in number. No one has died. There's been some injuries. But what we just heard from the president there talking about Antifa, which means anti-fascist. So if you're against Antifa, that's what it is. It's not a group. It's not a group that you can designate. And what we're hearing from him seems to be an excuse for the troops, for Stephen Miller, who's now kind of leading this domestic terrorism group that they've created, to do whatever they want, that the language is important to use it that way, because otherwise they wouldn't be able to do what they want to do.
So first of all, they hate us because they ain't us. So he's making up things in his head.
Now, he's been obsessed with Portland since 2020, right?
Did you hear this, lady? They hate us because they ain't us. Really? This is a grown woman on a, public platform that has a national reach. They hate us because they ain't us. Really? That's the defense of Antifa. That's not the flex that she thinks it is. Seriously. That's not the flex she thinks it is. I mean, it just honestly shows how pathetic all this has become. And let's be real. If these cities weren't lawless, in the first place, there'd be no need for federal intervention. Antifa has been harassing officers, terrorizing communities, and attacking federal property for years. Finally, our president drew a line in the sand. Finally. Thank you, President Trump. And of course, the media, they go to run cover for these folks. CNN, MSDNC, DNC, they trot out the same tired phrase, mostly peaceful. Cut it out, man. They said that, about the Floyd rise, the summer of love, 2020. Mostly peaceful as buildings are burning in the background. I mean, give me a break, man. Fires, explosives, death threats, officers under attack. That's not what you would call peaceful. That's violent extremism. But instead of condemning it, Democrats point fingers at President Trump. And that's just pure gaslighting. And here's the truth. We can't have a nation without law and order. If local leaders won't enforce the law, the federal government must step in and enforce the law. Antifa isn't some nuisance. It's a domestic terrorist organization at this point. And at last, an administration is treating them accordingly. So the question is simple. Do you want mobs running the streets while politicians shrug, or do you want law and order and safety restored? Now, I know where I stand. And I know most Americans stand on the side of the street that I stand on. But you got a lot of folks out there that will jump out there and say, Orange Man bad for trying to clean up the foolery that's happening in places like LA, Portland, Seattle, and other places across the country. The West Coast is a mess. The entire West Coast is a mess. All of the major cities. I know there are some good people in Oregon. I know there are some good people in California. But the major cities are in shambles because of the piss poor leadership that are in these cities. All of the major cities on the West Coast right now are just liberal Democratic strongholds, and they're not the best places to live in the country or in those states for that matter. And I feel sorry for the conservative folks that are out there, because I know we have a lot of folks out in California that support the channel, and they support, a lot of what we're doing over here, and they are held hostage. You know what I'm saying? They're being held hostage, by these loony freaking liberals. Let's just call it what it is. They're being held hostage, man. And it's sad. And honestly, I don't know. I don't really have any advice, for you all on what to do. Because it seems like, especially in the major cities, that you all are outnumbered. Thank you, Melissa, for the $10 super chat. Says in Matthew 24, verse 8, it talks about birthing pains. Do you think we are in that time now? Ooh, that's a good question. That's a good question. I don't know if I have an answer to that question just yet. I really don't. I don't know if I have an answer to that question. I want to read. Let me go back and just refresh myself real fast. But I don't know. I want to open it up real quick. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time. What time is it? It's 10:40. So I want to open it up for people to call in today. We'll do that for about 20 minutes. So when you do get up here, try to keep it short and sweet. Let's not filibuster the conversation, if we can. But okay. So give me 1 second here before I want to get into that. I want to drop the link here in the chat for those that would like to pull up this morning. I'd love to have you guys. But again, please, short and sweet. Try not to get up here and fill up a conversation. I know how some of us can be. We're long-winded. You know, trust me, I know. I'm long-winded as well. One second, bear with me here. I had to pull up YouTube because inside of StreamYard, it won't let me pin a comment. And if you haven't hit the like button for me already, please make sure you hit the like button. Melissa, I'm going to get back to your question. Let me read Hunter first. Thank you, Hunter, with the $5 super chat. Says, before we know it, these people will become so deranged to where they will start attacking those ice machines you buy bags of ice from. Hunter, thank you. Thank you for bringing a little bit of comedy to the show. That's pretty funny. That is pretty funny. Oh, wow. Out to LJ Taylor, with the $2 super chat, says, who I say who can take this sassy man seriously? Okay, yeah, she's talking about old boy on MSDNC. And shout out to Malachi with the $2 super chat, says, I'm late, got my tires replaced. What I miss? We're gonna pull you up so you can hear what you missed real fast. But before I do that, thank you, Melissa, for bringing Matthew 24. And if we can actually get into it, before verse 8, if you go into Matthew 24 verses 3 through 14, and it talks about the false messiahs and deception, the wars, and rumors of war, famines, earthquakes, and natural disasters, increasing persecution of believers, lawlessness growing, love growing cold, the gospel preached to all nations before the end comes. Just to get a full understanding of the full context and not just the verse itself. Are these signs of the end times? We have a lot of people out there. We have a lot of apostate preachers out there right now. I wish I could bring my brother, Minister Denzel, on this morning. But there are a lot of apostate preachers out there spreading a false gospel. We definitely have that going on right now. Obviously, we have wars going on. There's rumors, of wars, and we're seeing an increasing persecution of believers, which is something that I thought, if you would have told me 20 years ago that believers here in America would face any form of persecution, I would tell you, man, you're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. Not here in the United States of America. No, that's not happening here. We're probably some of the most Christian people, in the world. And I don't know if I can say that about us today. I don't know if I can say that about us today. And especially when you think about the amount of quote unquote people that go to church, we're not going to call them believers, but people that go to church who don't necessarily believe in the true and living word of God. And, so Melissa, I think you're onto something there. the one beautiful thing that is happening is that the gospel is being preached to all nations before the end comes. And the reality of it is that I know, I think it was LS that came on, and I don't see LS in the chat, but I know, and people talk about, the internet and, how evil it is, but the internet is also giving people the ability to spread the word of God, to share the word of God, to testify, to witness at a faster rate than existed way back when, right? So, you're starting to see it happen. And with the things that have transpired, this month, the death of Charlie Kirk, and other things that have transpired, more and more people saying for the first time that they've cracked open their Bibles. More and more people are deciding to go to church. Although, I say that you probably need to be careful, at the churches that you choose to attend, because there are a lot of apostate preachers out there, both black and white and other of other ethnicities, because they've bent the knee to the liberal agenda. I saw something the other day where a woman said she's a bisexual Christian. I'm just like, what is that? Like, what is that? So you have a lot of people out there wearing the name, but they're not actually living. They're not actually living up to the name, and it's unfortunate. But when we see it, we got to call it out. Unfortunately, the brother that spoke with her with love, I wouldn't necessarily say he chastised, but he challenged her thought process. I'm gonna go into bring Malachi if he's ready. I'm gonna bring him up. Looks like he got the fresh cut. You know what I'm saying? Got the fresh cut and the shades.
Tuesday night, mostly clear until midnight.
What's going on, Malachi? How you doing this morning, brother? Let's see if he's ready. Okay.
Can you hear me, brother?
I can hear you, man.
Hold on, just all right, good. But look,
Oh, you kind of went out for a second.
how we sounding now?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
All right, good. Yeah, I got connected to my truck stereo because I turned it on. So
Got you. LJ
that's
said,
why
this brother too cool for school.
Yeah, I can't see the chat right now. So whoever's calling my name out, I appreciate you. I love all of y'all too. So how we been this morning, man? How was your weekend?
Man, blessed. Weekend was pretty good. Outside my Ravens, getting the brakes beat off of them yesterday. Outside of that,
Okay.
hey, it is what it is. But it's unfortunate, when you hear the things, that happened out in Michigan, with the LDS church, and there's 4 people. There's still a multitude of people in the hospital. Hopefully, those people are able to pull through. But there's a full-fledged attack, happening right now, not just in our country, but around the world. The persecution of Christians is happening. And it's unfortunate, but I also think that we need to be diligent. There's a bunch of people out there faking, but I don't think this is something that you want to fake in this day and age.
No, it's not. No, it's not. I've been, I'll be honest with you, these last 3 months, I've been doing my best to, just speak my voice out and, try to wake everybody up. But most of the people I'm surrounded by, they innocently believe that the liberal movement is the right way to go. I'm not surrounded by people that manipulate others or do any crazy stuff like that. That's why I'm happy to be in Central Illinois. But with that said, everybody here is still sleeping, which is part of why I'm not terribly sad about Trump winning, although I'm still an independent. I'm not totally sad about it because ultimately my faith is in God, and I think we would have been more asleep with Kamala Harris in office. And what you said on one of the streams sometime last week, I believe it was Thursday. Yeah, it was Thursday because it was Colin Day. About us going to just one world government, one world, control. That's part of why I voted for some of the representatives I did on my ballot at the end of last year. Because, I was a little bit scared that we were just going to jump right into that probably right around this time this year. had things gone another way with the previous election. So, or I guess this past election, I should say. So I've been trying to get the word out and tell everybody, hey, make sure you look at all the facts, watch all the news channels. Don't just limit yourself to NBC, ABC, MSDNC. I love the name that you call it, MSDNC. That's the best name for it. But don't just limit yourself to one of these news outlets that's, because they're funded by the upper ups, the unmentionables. And they feed you what they want you to see. Just like how Fox News serves one audience, ABC serves another audience, so on and so forth. Watch all of them so you get all the big picture of what's going on. And then, of course, Ground News. I'm glad that you mentioned Ground News because that's a really good site as well that looks at the entire picture, makes it easier for especially people like me. I only got 1 hour out of the day during the week to look at the news. So, and usually I'm making dinner and being a little bit more productive than just looking at LEDs my entire free time. So yeah, I've been trying to get it out, but lately I've just been a little bit more quiet now just because, I'm using a lot of energy trying to, spread the word to people, and I'm learning and growing myself. Being dedicated to the Lord for about 2.5 years, I still got a lot of learning and growing to do. So,
yeah, I think we all do, right?
Oh yeah, we all
you
do,
get
but,
into this, we all do, and we all fall off, and we got to figure out a way to, continue to keep moving. I don't think you get into this for perfection, because I think we all understand that none of us are perfect. And we're also dealing with challenges on a day-to-day basis, in our work lives and our personal lives, just out and about. Challenges and temptations, they're out there, but the goal is that we continue to at least continue to work towards, righteousness as much as we possibly can. And then also
That's
be
right.
willing to share, our experiences and things of that nature. I think that's important as well.
That you're totally right, man. So I still haven't been completely silent because, if everybody stays completely silent, we're not going to get anywhere. But yeah, whenever I come across somebody who I can sense that's not familiar with what's going on, they're just going along to get along, like a lot of these churches teach, including the one I was raised in my whole life. They mean well, but at the same time, they're one of those churches that just keeps you sleeping. So, ever since I started following and attending with Pastor Jennings, tuning in with Pastor Philip Anthony Mitchell, in and out with some other organizations that actually get into the Word and actually teach people the truth, it just opened my eyes to what's really going on and how relevant the scriptures are to this day and age. Because if you study deeper and deeper, you're actually going to realize why everything that has happened in the past and is happening now has and is happening. And just people don't realize that. They're just used to their 6 to 7 verse sermons or less on their Sunday mornings. And they're just, they're living in a false hope. I was just in Des Moines this past weekend after getting back from the east side. And if I had to give a perfect painted picture of false liberal hope, it'd be Saturday night in downtown Des Moines, Iowa, because it's pretty safe, it's pretty flashy, it's got a good thing going for itself, everybody's having fun, having a good time, but they're all, when it comes to what's going on in the rest of the world, they're all asleep. You're going to get fully distracted being in a place, if you're out there distracted by all the nightlife and all of that, and by all means, if that's what you want to live for, then enjoy it while you got it, because you might not have it for very long, but we got work to do over here.
Absolutely.
My main focus right now was keeping myself in check, since I've got a limited amount of sleep time, keeping myself in check, and then my closest people to me that aren't swayed one way or the other. Just motivating them as best as I can while doing right by others, and then loving the people that are in my family as best as I can, even past their differences. So that's what we all need to do as Christians is, because we can't be worse. We can't be worse than the LGB about connecting with others past our differences.
Absolutely.
We got to strive
I agree
not
with
to
that.
do that. So,
I
speaking
agree.
of which, I mentioned in one of my chats, Nicholas Bolin. I don't think you've seen him, but once I send my email here, I'm gonna send you this clip. If you look it up, his name is Nicholas Bowling, like bowling a ball. And yeah, he goes to these different, Palestinian protests, Pride Fest, some of the biggest ones. And if you watch the one that he went to in Atlanta, oh my goodness, he barely made it out alive. If the cops weren't there, he wouldn't have made it out alive. I don't think. Those people got aggressive.
You said Nicholas Bowling? I'm about to check him out.
Yeah, Nicholas Bowling. He's got a bunch of shorts on YouTube. You just watch one of them, you'll be like, dang. And it's amazing. You could just tell how much the Lord has dealt with him, just with how calm he is every time, with people shouting in his face, always picking up his speaker and running off. It's amazing. LJ knows what I'm talking about. She saw my chat when I put it in there, so I got a few people that know of him. But check him out, man. You're probably
you know what? I've actually watched. I've watched content. I've watched some of his content.
I was about to say, I would have been surprised if you didn't see him.
Yeah, I've watched some of his content. I'm not subscribed to him or following him, but I have watched a little bit of his content, and yeah, he's doing some great work out there, man. He's doing some great work for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to dive a little deeper in there because I just probably over the weekend, was just introduced. He was the guy I was talking about when who was having a conversation with a young lady who said that she was a bisexual Christian. He was the guy that was having that conversation, and I just watched that the other day, and I'm like, bisexual Christian? Like, how does that work? But he with love, you can tell, hey, the Lord's working on him. And using him because, I mean, a lot of folks, and even myself, I have to catch myself because, some of us can be judgmental, right? We can be judgy, not understanding that, a lot of times people come with questions because they're looking for guidance, no different than, what Jesus said, way back when he was saying, like, hey, the church is supposed to be the hospital for those that are sick. And so many of us are quick to judge and condemn those that we may feel, hey, aren't living right. And we're like, what are they doing here? But they're here to get well. And I had to catch myself. And my wife, I was talking to my wife about it, and she was like, she brought it to my attention. And right then and there, I had to repent and was like, you know what? that is wrong. That was the wrong way to think about an individual going through something that I may deem, inappropriate behavior, but they're here for a reason to be to be made well. And who am I, to judge that individual in that manner? And I had to repent for that. I did, because it's easy for us to do that, right? It's to look and say, hey, I'm doing a little better. Like I don't have my own issues. It's crazy. But Malachi, I appreciate you pulling up. I got Eric right here. I want to pull him up.
Hey, that's all right,
plan
man.
on being on here too long.
Yes,
all right, man. Be safe out there, man.
That thing that you talked about, the bisexual Christian, that reminds me, there's a lot of gays coming out, and I'm gonna wrap it up with this, but there's a lot of gays coming out on YouTube saying that they actually voted against the previous presidency because once it got past the LGB and went from T and beyond, that's when everything went south for why they were supporting it. What started as something innocent to support people with different backgrounds turned into this radical political movement and religious cult. So that's what that reminded me of. But I'm gonna let you go. Y'all stay safe out there. That, man. And
thank you. You do the same, brother. All right, man. Yep. God bless, Malachi. Take care, bro. Hey, Cool Ramon, you are 1,000% correct, and I thank you for putting this up here. He says, "The church, hospital for sinners, not a museum for saints." You are 1,000% right, and people need to know and understand that. Wow, that was phenomenal. Phenomenal. Thank you, LJ, for the $5 super chat. Says, I continuously pray for discernment and wisdom. I want to say the right things and be an example to people closest to me that are lost. Book club. We are going to get on that. And actually, LJ, I'm not exactly sure how I want to go about doing it. If I want to do it just via Zoom where we can just get together offline. But yeah, the ARP book club is happening. And I actually want to start with this book right here. I'll send it out. It's called Missing Pillars. It's by Brian K. Shannon. And it talks about the America's Black Father Absence Crisis and how the Christian church helped me overcome it. And I'm actually going to have Brian Shannon on the channel not next week, but the week after next. So for those that are interested in joining the ARP family book club, let me know. We'll discuss it here in the near future. And then we got to get on this because I want us to read it, be able to discuss it, but then I also want to be able to bring Brian Shannon on to discuss the book as well. And I'd like to be able to do things to where, when we, do read a book, if I can, if possible, I can reach out to the author and see if I can get them on the channel to have a conversation around, which I think would be really, really dope. So yeah. Thank you, OJ, for reminding me about that. Let me bring up Eric real quick. What's up, Eric? How you doing this morning, brother?
Wise, how you doing, man?
I'm blessed, man. I am blessed beyond belief, to be honest with you, brother.
Hey, I want to let Malachi stay safe on the roads out there, man.
Absolutely.
See you out there doing the same thing. This whole world's going crazy, man. Something has to change. We can't continue like this. There's a big emphasis on left versus right, but this is really good versus evil. It's not even the political aspect of it. I think it's too much hyper focus there versus what it really is.
I agree.
Any of us that have any sort of righteousness or fearlessness in our hearts, we got to take our world back. Like, man, I think me and you are about the same age, so our days here, our years are limited, but I've got children that got to have a life beyond me being here to make sure they're okay.
I've been saying this on this channel for a long time that, what we're supporting, what the agenda that we're pushing, in all actuality, it really isn't about us. It's what type of world, what type of America are we planning to leave to our children, to our grandchildren, to our great-grandchildren? And if we start thinking about it in that manner, maybe we can start moving with more of a sense of urgency. When you think about all of the other agendas out there, they play the long game. I mean, you look at the communists. I mean, that's 100-year process. You look at China, 100-year plan to move. You look at what's been going on with the alphabet community. I mean, they're 50, 60 years plan, and how they've infiltrated the Marxist society, the Marxist folks. They've infiltrated, every aspect of American life, the public schools, the government, you name it, they're there, but they're playing the long game. So many of us, we're short-term thinking. We're 2-year, 4-year thinkers. We're not thinking about 100 years. We got to change our mindset.
100%, because everything that we're dealing with right now, this has been slowly and methodically implemented over a long period of time. A lot of people think that the enemy is stupid. They're not stupid. They're actually rather intelligent, and they're very patient. And like you said, they played the long game. This is 50, 60, 70, 80 years in the making. It's just all coming to fruition right now. And I think a big part of why the agenda hit hyper speed was they had a shell of a man for a president for 4 years. So they were just able to hit that warp speed button and just implement everything at a faster rate than what they had been doing. Biden was clueless. He was just there.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too, though, and the word, tells us this, is that we're kind of in a position where we're probably going to have to really start thinking about that separation. In 2 Corinthians, it tells us to come out from among them and be separate. You know what I'm saying? Do not touch what is unclean. And I will receive you. It also tells us, in Romans, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. I think too many of us, man, we're trying to hold on to people, some family, some friends. We're trying to hold on to some people and to be around people that we probably shouldn't even be around like that. And what we're seeing is it's kind of manifesting itself right there in our faces, and it's almost in a sense telling us like, hey, we got to come up from around these people like that. You know what I'm saying?
100%, man. 100%.
It's crazy. It's crazy to say that, but I think too many of us, we've put our heads in the sand. And we put our heads in the sand while all this craziness is happening. The enemy has been, working a plan, like you mentioned, 60, 70, 80-year plan, 100-year plan And it's all starting to manifest itself right there in our faces. And now they're at a point now where they can get on national TV and tell you what their plan is. They don't even have to hide it
They
anymore.
don't hide it anymore. No.
You know what I'm saying? They don't have to hide it anymore. Now they just come out and tell you, hey, this is who our enemy is. And too many of us, we've had our heads in the sand.
For far too long and been too quiet for too long.
Absolutely.
And that's why what you're doing and a lot of other people with channels like yours is very important, and we need that right now.
I appreciate it, man. You're absolutely right. And it's wild because you'll hear people that will come out and say, oh, you know, we shouldn't be a part of, you know, what's going on politically, and we need to stay out of that, and this, that, and the third. I'm like, last time I checked, we are Americans. We do live in this country. But are we just supposed to, you know, just get pushed to the fringes of society?
And people that say that, they don't necessarily see the bigger picture of how it's all intertwined behind the scenes. Like, even all these issues that seem separate at face value, you pull the curtain back a little bit and they're all connected behind the scenes one way or another.
Absolutely. Well, the other thing too is, aren't you still sending your kids to government ran schools? Are you not, you know, some folks, are you not working for the federal government in some shape, way, or state or county government? Are you not there?
And even if you're not, you're still paying taxes out of every paycheck to it one way or the other.
Exactly. That's where I was going next. I was like, are you not paying
we don't
into
get a say
the system?
Yeah, we don't get a say in where our money goes. We just have to pay it no matter what.
Yeah. You know, so I'm like, how do you say, hey, I don't want anything to do with it when you send your kids to their schools, you, in some cases, work for them, and in all cases, you pay into the system.
You're paying it, period, no matter, point blank, there's no way around
what.
it.
You know, but you can come out there and say, man, I don't want nothing to do with that. Are you crazy?
Yeah. Trust me, my two oldest daughters, they're coming of those ages, and they really didn't want anything to do with them. Like, no, you have to want something to do with it. We don't see eye to eye on everything because obviously they're much younger than me, but I just try to educate them and keep their eyes open to logic and reason.
That's your job. That is your job. We need more men to understand, you know, and we need more men to understand, one, our role in our families. We've allowed a lot. There have been too many men, and I can talk about it in my own family, you know, not my household, but the family I grew up in, to where the matriarch, you know, kind of ran things, and the men, to an extent, kind of stepped to the side to allow it to happen. And in my opinion, it's not a good thing. Now, that's not how I operate and run my household, and that's not how I've raised my boys. Well, they're young men now. That's not how I raised them. You know, the expectation is that not only are you going to be the leader, but you are the problem solver. You are the provider. You are the protector. That is your responsibility. Now, again, it's one thing to talk about it. It's another thing to do it and be that action and be the actual example, because your children, they're going to listen to probably 10 or 15% of what you say, but they're going to watch 100% of what you do.
Everything that you do. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So we got to showcase ourselves, you know, in our day-to-day lives. Like, hey, this is how I move. This is how the household is supposed to run. This is what it looks like. And I'm going to be your problem solver. And as you get older, you know, like I tell my kids, I'm like, eventually, you're going to be the one that your family's looking to. Your wife's going to look to you to solve the problem. Your children are going to look to you to solve the problem the way you guys look at me to solve your problems. You know what I'm saying? So I got to make sure that not only I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, but I'm also training you to step up and stand in that role, in that position.
They'll be fine, man. Yours have a good role model. They've got a good example.
You know, now I don't have daughters, but if I had daughters, I'd be looking at it a little differently, because I'm one of those kind of people, you know, and if those, you know, if you are a true believer, those daughters are your responsibility until you find them a husband. And I know it might sound a little old fashioned. You know, I know there's going to be some women in the chat that say, oh, no, I can stand and do on my own. Hey, what we're witnessing right now, we're witnessing women that, yeah, they have the ability, but do they really have the strength and stamina to take on that role and position? And why, as a father, why would you even want to put them in that position? You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you want to do that?
Trust me, My oldest, she's out on her own, but I still help. I still help her out. I still have to take care of her. And my second oldest, she just moved back into the house. She went out on her own for a little while, saw what the real world was. Now she's back at home where she belongs. So it's just.
Well, we got to play that role. If I had daughters, those are conversations that I would have been having a long time ago. If I had daughters, very similar to the kind of conversations I've been having with my sons. That one, I'm going to play a role in whoever he is that we decide to give you away to as a spouse. Because the reality of it is that you are my responsibility until we find you a husband. Not until you find you a husband. No, until we find you a husband as a family. That means my wife. That means myself. It's a community effort, in this. And I think that's a lot of our problem right now in our country is we got away from the community effort of finding spouses, not only for young men, but also for our young ladies as well. Because what we do know is cute don't pay bills, and we can get infatuated, with an individual, young woman or young lady, and we will overlook red flags because of that infatuation. You know what I'm saying? And your family is supposed to be the ones to say, hey, there's 3 or 4 red flags here. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to say no.
We're of the age where we've been through that, so we understand it. It's easy to say it to them. They don't necessarily pick up on it as you're saying, and they don't truly understand what you're telling them until they find themselves in that situation. And everything you said all of a sudden makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So I am a huge proponent of, even with my boys, I'm the same way. I'm like, I don't want you to do the things that I've done. You know what I'm saying? My goal is, my youngest son, my oldest son, more or less, is like, Dad, I need to get where you are. I'm like, bruh, you are light years ahead of me. He like, what do you mean? I was like, bro, when I was your age, you are light years ahead of me in comparison to young me at 24 years old. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You're light years ahead of me.
I can say the same thing for them
thinking,
too.
so forth and so on. You know what I'm saying? I was a wild child back in the day. I thought I knew everything. I didn't know anything.
That's what I was about to say. They're not out here running around doing the things I was doing at their age. So that alone, and being a single father, raising them on my own, and all that stuff. Was it perfect the whole way? No, it wasn't. But they turned out well.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad to hear that, man. I'm glad to hear that. And hopefully, they will be blessed with a good man, and you'll be blessed with a solid son-in-law that you can trust that, hey, when I gave him my daughter, I trusted that he is going to stand up and handle business. My father-in-law, he was like, please don't send her back.
I can relate to that one too.
Take care of her. Don't send her back.
Yeah, no doubt.
Hey, but let me pull spaces up, man. Appreciate you pulling up this morning, Eric. Thank you, brother.
No doubt. Stay blessed, man. Keep doing what you're doing. We need this.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you, man. Be safe out there on the road, man. Y'all make sure y'all keep Eric lifted up in prayer out there, man. Be safe, brother.
Appreciate it, man.
All right, man. God bless. All right, Spaces, you ready?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine, man. How are you this morning, brother?
I'm all right. How you?
And my apologies, man. I did not see your super chat from Friday. Did it happen like at the like very end of the chat, or did I just miss it in general?
It was very, very like you probably clicked in stream when I sent it.
Okay. Got you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I definitely missed it, but my apologies.
No,
what do you have for us this morning, man?
So I have a question. And so religious institutions like the church and the mosque and all that stuff and all of general public places basically generally have a ban on firearms, right?
I think it's church to church. But as per the law, no, your churches are not considered gun-free zones like your schools are.
Well, one thing I know that a lot of people take Christians to be these like super patient people, like turn the other cheek, and Christians aren't going to do anything. And I think that's a part of why these attacks are happening on churches, but outside of people just being crazy. But one thing that I noticed is that, generally speaking, the church has like no gun policy or no gun culture, right? So I'm just wondering, what do you think if the church might have to rethink that thought process on not having at least armed security in the
Hmm.
church?
I personally have not gone to a church that had a no gun policy, nor have I gone to a church that had a sign up that said this is a gun free zone. So I personally have not gone to one of those places. Um, and the previous church that we used to go to, we actually stopped going and we started going to a new church here recently. Majority of the people that were in the church, not majority, but there was a good amount of people that were actually, police officers or state troopers, things of that nature. And they would, be at the front of the church and also, stand guard at the door. So that's something that has been going on, at least the churches that I've gone to for quite some time. I've spoken to some other brothers out there that go to different churches, around the country, especially down there in Georgia, to where, there's a bunch of people that just show up to church that are armed. They operate, through their CC and things of that nature, and they exercise their Second Amendment right, at church. So, by law, churches are not like your federal buildings to where, you go to a school is considered a gun-free zone and some of these other federal buildings that would be considered gun-free zones. The law doesn't state that, but there may be some churches that may say it. But I personally think that all churches at this point should have some form of armed security. Even if it's just some brothers that you can train that are in the church that you can say, hey, we're going to go get some training. So you can stand post, at the front of the church, maybe one or two folks at the front and at every exit, as well as, maybe some folks that are just there, as backup, sitting inside the pews, that are armed. I think we are there now. And anybody that's not there, I don't think they're living in reality at this point.
And that's exactly where I'm at, because I think, generally speaking, the churches that I've gone to, they frown upon it. So, and I'm not necessarily saying that they say no guns, or actually, no, it has been no guns allowed, basically. So I'm like, I don't know, like we definitely need to have some sort of practice or guaranteed specific people to patrol the grounds and see what's going on, because this is crazy now.
Yeah. You get no argument from me on that. You get zero pushback from me on that. Zero. And honestly, whether they saying, hey, no or not, if you're concealed and no one can see it, they don't know. It's not against the law. Now, if they see it and they can say, okay, hey, you're trespassing, you need to leave because you're not allowed to be there with that. But it's still not against the law. To do that. It's just once they identify, hey, you have a gun, and they say, well, you got to leave, our church premises. But to be honest with you, I don't want to be a part of any church that tells me that I can't wear my firearm. I don't want to be there.
And that's what I'm saying, because it's like, it's better for somebody to, if they have a no gun policy in their church and someone comes into the church and they're all violent, they're planning on doing what this guy did in Michigan. It's better. I would bet that they would be happy that somebody had a gun to stop that person than nobody have a gun and 4 to 6 people die.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Now I'm there. I do think that there should be security, especially at the front. You should probably have 2 guys up there. In my opinion, I think you should. I think you should have 2 men. And I know there's gonna be some folks and say, hey, there could be some women. Nah. I think that is men. Should stand up in their rightful place, as protectors. And I think there should be some brothers, there. And hopefully maybe you have some law enforcement and things of that nature. Or maybe, if your church, has the resources, maybe you hire some law enforcement, to be there, as, maybe off-duty security. Maybe you go about it that route or something. But yeah, just being out there with no security, I don't think that's proper. I don't think that makes sense. Yeah, especially with everything that's going on right now, not just in our nation, but across the country, across the world.
Yeah, that's one credit I got to give to Muslims. Like all of this stuff, they, generally speaking, they practice this stuff. They practice defending yourself. They have actual classes where you come to, I don't know if it's at the mosque or however they do it, but they literally teach self-defense. Yeah. They teach protection and stuff like that. So, but yeah, the church has got to rethink how they do their security, because we need this. This is crazy now.
No, I agree with it, but I'm going to take it a step further, and just talk about the men in general. and I guess we could bring the women into this, but I really just want to talk about the men. If you are not in the gym working out, if you can't run a mile, you need to get to a point to where you can run a mile. If you can't, at minimum, pull up your body weight at least once, you need to get your butt in the gym. If you're not working on some form of hand-to-hand combat, whether it's some form of martial arts, learning how to box, or working on things of that nature where you can protect yourself, I think you need to get in the gym and start working. If you're overweight, you need to start working on that right now, immediately. You don't want things to pop off and you're not prepared. You don't. Exactly. If you're carrying a firearm, you should be at the range at least once a quarter. And I'm being generous saying at least once a quarter. I'd like to see that ratchet up maybe at least once a month. Go to the range and go fire it off and get used to, what it feels like, when you pull that trigger. You should be practicing with your firearm if you're going to carry it at minimum once a quarter as a civilian. And, if you're really into it, at least once a month. But these are the things that need to happen. And when you start talking about the churches, too many overweight people, too many pastors that can't move. You know what I'm saying? Seriously. I mean, can't move. I mean, you see that, in the church. You want to see a large amount of overweight folks, go to church. You're going to see it.
I mean, look at TD Jakes.
Yeah.
So.
Well, there's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of them out there. A bunch of them, that are out there, overindulgent. But, if things hit the fan, you're not prepared.
Exactly. So, you know what's crazy? Like, we're having this conversation about the lack of security in churches, but certain pastors like TD Jakes have his own security.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I got to drop down, OG. Great right, live, man. Great conversation.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you pulling up this morning, man.
All right.
Thanks, Basis. Take care, bro. All righty, man. I appreciate you guys pulling up. Thank you guys very much for supporting the channel this morning. If you haven't hit the like button, please hit that like button on the way out the building. Lord willing, we will be at this thing tomorrow morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Appreciate you guys, man. Shout out to all my ARP family members. God bless you guys. Shout out to all my Blues, Lori Otteson, T.A. Caskey, Nanny, who else? Carol Reyes, LJ Taylor, Dion. Who else? Did I miss anybody? Brent Montgomery, Zephyr K9. Thank you guys very much for keeping things safe and keeping things peaceful in the chat. Appreciate you all. Thank you guys very much, man. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. This is one I do believe that needs to be shared. I think I am going to chop the video, in reference to Nigeria. I think I'm going to have that one chopped. That's going to just get released. I think people need to know about it. It's unfortunate that mainstream media is not discussing what is happening over in Nigeria. We got to get the word out, and people need to be diligent. And it is time that folks put on the entire armor of God. It is about time. It is about time we do that. You know what I'm saying? But I do appreciate you guys pulling up, man. We are wrapping the show. We're going to get up out of here, man. We'll do a call-in show on Thursday. So if anybody that would like to pull up, on Thursday, please let me know. And, we'll do it again on Thursday, man. But I appreciate you guys, man. Hey, enjoy the Monday. I know it's Monday, and some of you guys, in the office, I don't want to hear anybody has the case of the Mondays. Be thankful. You are blessed. If you have an opportunity, if you have a job, you are blessed to if you spent some time hanging out with us in this chat, you are blessed, and appreciate it and be thankful seriously. All right. So enjoy the Monday, enjoy the week, make it a great week. I appreciate each and every one of you all. God bless. Keep God first. Stay prayed up. We'll catch up with you all next time. You guys take care, man. Peace.
We won't stop. I won't quit. Stand for the truth. No counterfeit. Real ones rise. Let the fake ones split. Repent for the lies. Let the darkness